Hello everyone, this is Matthew. Welcome back to our channel. Today is Monday, October 21st, 2025, and this is your daily Nasdaq 100 futures recap. It was a mixed and choppy trading day, dominated by the release of key inflation data and Fed commentary. Traders kept a close eye on the CPI report at 8:30 a.m. and Federal Reserve Governor Waller's speech at 9 a.m., both of which shaped the day's tone. Overnight session. 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The market opened weak at 6 p.m. on October 20th, continuing the cautious tone from Monday's close. Around 7 p.m., buying interest emerged, prompting our robot to close its short position and go long. However, the rally was short-lived. By 8 p.m., futures reversed lower again. As the Asian markets opened, volatility picked up, and the Nasdaq swung back and forth without clear direction. At 10:30 p.m., futures began to climb steadily, but by 11:50 p.m., that move lost steam, and our long position was stopped out. The robot then flipped to a short trade, which it closed around midnight for a small profit. Morning session. 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. The early morning was calm as investors waited for the highly anticipated CPI report. Around 7 a.m., Nasdaq futures began to rise, and our system entered a long position ahead of the data. At 8:30 a.m., the Consumer Price Index came in slightly higher than expected, reigniting inflation concerns. The market immediately turned lower. By 9 a.m., Nasdaq had slipped toward 25,280, and our robot reversed from long to short. When the U.S. stock market opened at 9:30 a.m., selling pressure accelerated. The combination of sticky inflation and cautious earnings sentiment created sharp, fast swings. Between 9:30 and 10:30 a.m., volatility surged, then gradually subsided. By 10:30 a.m., the market stabilized and edged upward, but the bounce was short-lived. At 11:15 a.m., weakness returned. Google led the decline, pulling the Nasdaq back down. Our robot quickly switched to a short position. Then, at 11:35 a.m., a small rebound lifted the market again, producing $50 in unrealized profit on the long trade. But momentum faded into midday, and by 12:50 p.m., the index turned lower once more. The robot exited the long trade with a loss and re-entered short, bringing total realized losses to around $100. Afternoon session. 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. At 1:10 p.m., Nasdaq reversed upward again, triggering another long entry. The market traded sideways into the afternoon, awaiting Fed remarks. At 3:30 p.m., Fed Governor Waller spoke again, but his comments were mostly neutral. The market showed little reaction. Then, in the final minutes before the closing bell, buying momentum picked up. By 4 p.m., the Nasdaq 100 futures settled around 25,330, ending the cash session modestly higher. Our trading system executed over 20 trades throughout the day, an unusually active session given the choppy price action, resulting in a realized loss of $239 and an unrealized gain of $40, for a net loss of $200 by the close. After Horror's session. After the bell, Netflix released its third-quarter earnings. The stock dropped over $100, dragging Nasdaq futures sharply lower. Our robot quickly closed the prior long and switched to a short position, which soon showed an unrealized gain of around 90. Summary. Overall, today's market reflected nervous anticipation ahead of big tech earnings and fresh inflation concerns. Our algorithmic system navigated the volatility well, but ended the day with a realized loss of $260 and an unrealized gain of $60, for a net loss of roughly $200. As always, our robot followed its rules with discipline, cutting losses quickly and capturing profit opportunities as they came. That wraps up today's Nasdaq 100 Futures recap. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more daily updates on algorithmic trading and market analysis. See you tomorrow. Bye.